what is going on, guys? I'm hitting you with that double upload. Oh my goodness, not something I do very often. 2 YouTube videos a day is absolutely crazy when you go into the backside of YouTube. I don't know how Circus did it, God bless them, but I'm gonna do it today. So here we go. I've got time, might as well do it. We are doing a ban unlimit list. No webcam, just doing it raw dogging style. You know how it is. Now, we did this last time we did a ban list as well, so this is kind of an update to that. See if any of my opinions have changed on anything in the metagame and anything that's new. There's a couple new cards on here as well. I can, kind of talk about that a little bit, just kind of go over the whole thing. Before we get too deep into this video, I do want to actually let you guys know that tomorrow, as of this video being uploaded, it's the 21st, that Tuesday, we're going to be doing a special live Twitch and YouTube create their own ban list. So if you actually go down the description of this video, there will be a link there. And if you click that link, you can submit in a Google form what you think the ban list is, and then everybody will vote on, what they think are the best ones, and then we'll make a YouTube video out of that. So if you're interested in being in a YouTube video, or even just being your response being read live on stream, go for it. I'm sure there'll be lots of memes, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of serious requests as well. So should be an interesting time. Go check that out. That should be down in the description. Without further ado, let's get into this. I'm going to read the cards. I'll let you know if they can come off the ban list for the most part. First things first, Cyberstein, no. Whenever this card's relevant, there's just no way to have this card be a healthy card. So, no, he cannot come back. Hey, True Nade. Oh my goodness. This is one that some people have actually been wanting to come back, funny enough, since it's been deleted not too long ago. I think Hey True Nade being on the Forbidden list has been overall a good thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links. Hey True Nade is one of those cards where whenever a new deck comes out, they eventually have to lose a Limit 2, a core Limit 2 card, to not be able to play Hey True Nade anymore. That's just been the trend for so many decks. And now that this is gone, some of those decks should be unbanned. Some of them have, but a lot of them haven't. And I think just overall for the health of the game, I don't think there should be a card like, Heavy Storm or Hey True Nade or Normal True Nade or anything like that that gets rid of back row that easily. I do think there needs to be other anti-back row cards, or they need to use the Limit 3 harder. So a deck can't play like Floodgate, Canadia, Fiendish Chain, all that at the same time, or something along those lines. But, I mean, as far as True Nade goes, True Nade is just too much, all too well. There's actually another card I'll talk about that I think should come off the ban list. But yeah, True Nade, it's whatever. Next up, Invocacitus. I personally think that should stay on here. It doesn't ultimately matter if it comes back. The biggest problem with Cassitus being off the ban list is any new deck that comes out has to pass the Cassitus check, just because he would be everywhere. Granted, if he came back, Invoked is not in a position to really take over, even with a Cassitus, because all the decks that would play Invoked is just not good enough. You know what I mean? There's just no reason. Alistair as a deck should not exist yet in Duel Links. Eventually it can exist, but it should just not exist yet, especially if they want to sell Pendulum. Cassitus can come back eventually when it's pretty much irrelevant, but it shouldn't exist. It's just too easy to bring out and too easy to spam even at one. And just a no fun card in general. So I think it stays forbidden. No issues there. Grass is Greener, kind of the same with Cyberstein. Funny enough, if this card came back at 3, even though it would be played, it wouldn't actually break the game. It would just warp the entire game, and every single deck would just play 30 cards to avoid getting Grass is Greener. That being said, do you really want to live in a metagame where everyone just plays 30 card decks? No, it has to stay limited. It's just not a thing that can happen for the most part. Azir Silver Dragon, Azur Eyes Silver Dragon. I think I've talked about this a couple times on stream. Hot take, I personally believe they hit the wrong card when it comes to Blue Eyes White Dragon. I did think that Blue Eyes needed a nerf, but hitting their melody and giving them a limit 1 with Azur Eyes was not the way to do it. It took down the identity of their deck. We could talk about melody at the same time here with the Azur Eyes Silver Dragon. I think they need to take this nerf off and change up how they were going to do it. I think instead of putting Azura and Melody to 1, put a two Blue Eyes cards to limit 2 instead. One of them can be Melody if they want. Fuck, you can even do Azure Eyes and Melody, you know, as the limit 2. Just to get them to stop playing things like TTH. And even, like, you could even arguably put Karma Cut if you wanted to. I don't think they should. This should be like a last resort. They could put limit 2 Karma Cut and then put another Blue Eyes card. But I think just keeping it to 2 Blue Eyes archetype cards would have been the better play. Hard limit 1, either choosing between Azure Eyes or Melody. These are 2 just critical cards to your strategy, and losing one or the other just doesn't, Blue Eyes doesn't work. You know what I mean? So I think it's unfair how Blue Eyes is nerfed. I don't think it was a deck that was supposed to be underpowered all of a sudden. I think it was always supposed to be like at a decent power level. So yeah, I'd like to see just a change up in how Blue Eyes is nerfed, so they're actually, you know, usable again. Bamboo Scrap, this was just some FTK nonsense degenerate strategy. It can stay here, doesn't really matter. Champion's Vigilance, unfortunately this cannot ever come back any higher. Counter Traps onto Blue Eyes or even Dark Magician is just way too good, so keep this at 1. It hasn't been a problem at 1, so we can keep it there. Desynchro, again, FTK, first turn kill, OTK strategy. It's degenerate, you can't have it. Gym Knights, it's actually kind of unfortunate. Gym Knight's an Arc 5 archetype, but because of the life point system in Duel Links, we literally just can't have Gym Knight, at least not this the burn strategy. So FTKs, you can't do anything about it. Give and Take being at 1. Give and Take is being used with, you know, most of these are degenerate strategies where you summon a Ra's Disciple on your opponent's side of the board. They can't special summon anymore, so yeah, it has to stay at 1. It can't come back, unfortunately. It would just be too strong with Neos. The whole Bamboo engine needs to pretty much remain on the ban list. Things like Bamboo Exodia, Bamboo Sprite. There will be some Bamboo deck that will be too strong. So this needs to stay on here. Karakuri. So Karakuri is another deck that I feel like it was just too over nerfed. I don't think you can fully unnerf it, especially with TTH still running around and other limited cards. But I think putting the Merchant to 2 and then freeing Nanishi, or if they're really scared, put the Merchant to 2 and then put Nanishi at 3. Not that limit 3 really does anything in the game right now, but if they wanted to limit another card, that was a problem. I think it would be a more fair nerf. Even at full power, Karakuri is extremely bricky ever since the restart nerf. We got 2 restart nerfs, and they were both just devastating. One with Karakuri in meta, and then again when Noble Knights nerfed all the consistency cards. And I think with all those nerfs, it's just, yeah, this card just isn't going to be, or this deck, or this archetype rather, will not be doing a whole lot of crazy stuff. But I think with proper limits, it could still be a tiered strategy that does change up the metagame and, you know, actually promote some level of diversity now that True Nate is gone. Could be fun. I'd like to see Karakuri come back. Kwakimiru, this might be considered a bit of a hot take, but I think you could fully unlimit Kwakimiru at where we are in the metagame, and they just would not do anything. Kwakimiru fails consistently to do anything in any unlimited battle phases that we do, fails consistently to do anything in unlimited battle rooms as well, and in general, just, you know, having your monsters up and pop themselves at the end of the turn just isn't enough. Other decks can spam monsters faster with destruction, with bounce effects. You know, Harpy Slash can just bounce people all over the place. I think the time for Kawaki's just, even at full strength, it wouldn't do anything at this point. Massive Morph, this needs to stay here. Degenerate strategy with Stall and Massive Morph, so you can never attack directly. Needlebug Nest, I would even argue, Mill is such a powerful strategy that it might just be like, we might have to just flat out forbid this card, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about keeping Needlebug Nest at 1. Yes, that is fine. Restrictor Revolution, that's just, honestly, this card could come out. It's not a huge deal anymore now that the Taya skill has been fixed that broke it. It should stay at 1 because it's degenerate anyway, but in terms of other degenerate cards, this is kind of whatever at this point. It was really the Taya skill that gave you the extra draw on both sides that really made it dumb. They could also give it the Duel Links blanket, you know, damage nerf and just call it a day. I don't know. It's whatever. Burn doesn't belong in Duel Links, unfortunately. We don't have enough life points. Revival Gifts, same thing with Bamboo Scraps, summoning tokens, just not cool. Star Blast. Star Blast, just unfortunately, the pay life points part is too good. It triggers way too many crazy skills that should be triggerable otherwise. It needs to stay on here for the most part. Storm, this might be a hot take. I don't personally think it's a hot take. I think Storm should be unlimited. I know it got banned because Evil Eye and Cyber Dragon, right, were primarily using it. But, you know, Cyber Dragon will probably get another hit here soon. And then Evil Eye, it wasn't Storm that was breaking Evil Eye. You know, it was, you know, them being able to do much, you know, the Titan Showdown and all that was stealing games for the most part. They were cheesing most of the games that they were in. So I think for the health of the game, especially that True Nade is now permanently gone, I think Storm should come back. I actually think it's a very fair way to do card popping. While, yes, Storm does not target, you still have to pop your own cards in order to do it. And most decks do not benefit from popping their own cards like Cyber Dragon does. So I'd like to see it unlimited. Or at the very least, bring it to like limit 3 or something. I don't know. Melody, we talked about Melody already. Type 0 Magic Crusher. This is for an FTK. I think with Witchcrafter is when it got nerfed. But yeah, degenerate decks should just stay degenerate. It's whatever. Woodland Sprite. Yeah, keep it on here again. Degeneracy with Bamboo. Honestly, if it came out by itself without Bamboo, it's kind of whatever. It's kind of funny that it's still here. But it's just one of those things where it's like, in no way will this ever be a healthy card. You know, it's either going to be useless, no one plays it, or if it sees even a minuscule amount of play, it's unhealthy. So it's whatever. Amazonas. Amazonas should just be, well, it's kind of hard to say, right? Because Amazonas Onslaught is still on here, on the limit 3 somewhere, down here. I feel like this should come off. There's no reason for this to be on here anymore. Swordswoman is interesting because you don't want stall decks to play it. It's not Amazons. You just don't want the stall decks to play Amazoness Swordswoman to burn you, right? So I kind of feel like it almost has to stay here or even go to like a limit 1 or a limit 3 to get to like free up Amazoness limit 2 spot, which is, they could really, really use that to be a good deck again. It really isn't Amazons that are using it. It's stall decks that are abusing this. So that's why it's on here. And then why it should... I think it'd be fine if it went to a limit 1 or a limit 3. But it needs to be on here somewhere for the most part. Raikiri. Oh boy, the Blackwing archetype has so many limits on here. I would like to see Blackwings unlimited in some capacity. I think even just doing something like putting Blackbird Close to 1 and then freeing up one of their limit 2 spots, or even just putting the Blackbird Close to 1 and keeping the limit 2 spots. It's just kind of unfortunate that this deck has like a synchro and a tuner at limit 2, pretty much forcing you, like if your opponent gets rid of your tuner, for example, you're screwed out of your plays for the most part. And then Blackbird Close is a super unfair card, but it's the only thing that this deck can reliably do turn 1 outside of like Necro Valley Turbo, which isn't even that good anymore to be like relevant in the metagame. So I think just giving them a little bit of a power, it's going to be one of those cards where it's like if they draw it, it feels like they're cheating, you know what I mean? But like Blackwings, I think deserves something. It's a very expensive deck, and it's a deck that a lot of people have a lot of fun with. I personally enjoy watching it. It's funny just to see them go off and pop on people. It'd be nice to see them, you know, get something, especially in a meta where decks do what it did, you know, at the same level or even better, and they're not limited. So, you know, I'd like to see something like that. Charge the Light Brigade. Charge is interesting because it promotes a lot of decks kind of like Neos, like in an engine style, but it also breaks a lot of strategies. Mill is very powerful in Duel Links. Charge has to stay on the limit list. I think limit 2 is perfect. Maybe even limit 1 it. It's really a card that doesn't belong in Duel Links, so it's fine where it is. Concentrating Current being at 2, that's just to stop cheesy OTK plays, so that's fine. Cristrons deserve an unlimit. I think they hit the wrong cards when it came to Crystron. Things like Citri, Impact Rion, this shouldn't be on here. Gen X Controller shouldn't be on here. I think stopping Crystron's C Stealth attack specifically is very critical, so maybe put the C Stealth attack on here, plus a Crystron card, maybe a Citri or something like that. But all these core Crystron cards. I would like to see them become unlimited. I think it's fine to bring Crystrons back. I know a lot of the community hates them for being slow or whatever, but they do make the game interesting, especially when in tournaments and even in Casey Cup and stuff like that. So it's sad to see that they're still on here. Cup of Ace, I personally believe Cup of Ace should be a forbidden card, even though it's, you know, Desperado's been nerfed. It's just, in no circumstances is this card ever okay to have in the game. Either Desperado's broken or someone's trying to FTK you. I think that's fine. I gave my opinion on Cyber Dragon already. I really think it's the skill that breaks them. So let's just assume the skill gets automatically deleted. What I'm about to talk about is assuming the skill is automatically deleted. I would actually like to see Cybernetic Fusion Support and Overflow come off the ban list, and maybe put like Cyber Dragon Core to 2 or something. You know what I mean? I think without the skill, Cyber Dragon can actually become an interesting deck to play and watch. But if they kill the skill now and they have all these limits on here, you know, there isn't too much that they can put on there. Core is also an SR card, so it's very easy to limit 2. They're gonna play 2 of it. There's no way they don't play 2 of it, and you know, that avoids them playing any of the strong limit 2 cards for OTKs. You know, Concentrating Current, Econ. Econ is really strong in the Sun Saga meta, or anything like that. I think that'll be the way to go with Cyber Dragon, especially if the skill is dead. Konami, please kill the skill. Dark Lords, I personally believe Dark Lords should stay on the limit list. It's a deck that's just not healthy for Duel Links. It can infinitely stall. There are better answers, you know. There are better answers now with DD Crow and Lancia and all these things. There are in Necro Valley. There are better things you can do. Not Lancia, Lancia is a Dark Lord card. That you can do in the game. But I still think a deck that has that many, you know, the win condition of, oh, I'm losing the game, time to stall and see if my opponent has an out in the deck, I think that's just not healthy for the game, especially if a game is supposed to only be like 10 minutes top, you know what I mean? So I think Dark Lords are perfectly fine where they are. They just had the Star Seraph meta. You know, we don't need to see any of that anymore. That shit is Rhino bussin'. Finally being hit because of onomatopoeia, and this made people pretty angry, and I'm kind of in agreement with them. I think the Exa Beetle should have been the card to be hit, not the Rhino Bus. You know, I don't think Rhino Bus was the one that you were supposed to hit. I really think it was Exa Beetle. Now the problem with Rhino Bus is whenever we get a level that can make that can rank up into a Rhino Bus, that is going to be where like the scary part of Rhino Bus comes into play. You know what I mean? So I think they just have to be careful what exceed levels they release, and maybe then put a Rhino Bus limit. But as of right now, I really think it's just Exa Beetle that needed to be hit. But it's too new. It's too new, so they hit the Exa Beetle or the Rhino Bus instead, and then everyone dropped Exa Beetle. So it is what it is. Enemy Controller, yep, this stays at 2. There's no way this comes off the ban list. It's just too good of a card. If it was off, everyone would play it. We have Automats. Automats need to be nerfed even harder on the ban list. They need to get the Shiranui treatment. I don't want to see this deck anymore. It's been around for too long. Too long. It's been tier 0. Get them out of here. Maybe in the future we can talk about unlimiting some of their cards once it's a forgotten archetype. But as of right now, bro, get it out of here. Gen X Controller, talked about Crystrons. Bring it off. A Gold Sarcophagus is an interesting one. Gold Sarc is interesting for Thunder Dragon, Shira, anything that banishes. It would be interesting to see this come off the limit list with, you know, in conjunction with like a Thunder Dragon nerf or something, so, you know, they don't get too out of control. Because I think Gold Sarc is actually an interesting card, especially when it was being used in like Shiranui for multiple plays and stuff. So I think it'd be super cool to see, but they do have to look at other decks before bringing this out. Head Judging, this card should be forbidden. We literally had someone make a run with Automats in Unlimited phase, and he won like 3 or 4 duels in a row, literally off of Head Judging, where he would have lost if it was any other trap card. This card is super toxic and deserves to not exist, so I don't know why it's still here. Magilincia exists because of Concentrating Current restrictions with Alistair. That's why it's here, so it's kind of whatever. Iron Core, again, we talked about Iron Core and Karakuri. I think they should be unlimited. I would love to see Keeper of Dragon Magic either go to 3 or become unlimited. I think it's kind of shitty that it's, you know, it died to Neo Sin again, and it just hasn't even been able to use like any of its other search cards for any other fusion cards because it's only been a Neo's target card. I would really like, I mean, right now Neos is kind of dead in the water. It's not really doing much right now, especially with like Fox and stuff also limited. I would like Keeper to come out limit 3, I think. Let's start there and then see if we can unlimit it from there. Kyroid, I personally think a card like Kyroid shouldn't exist in Duel Links, but I think as a limit 2 card, it's fine where it is. Personal bias aside. Six Samurai. Six Samurai is another hot topic one. As you guys know, I love the Six Samurai archetype. I love being able to be tricky with the type. You know, you don't really have strong attack. You're just getting all over the place. I in the past have said you could fully unlimit Six Samurai and it'd kind of be a whatever deck, but I know a lot of people don't want to run into limit 2s and stuff like that. And I still kind of, you know, stand by that. Maybe don't fully unlimit it. Put Inishi to 1, so then you could play double Shien's Dojo and 1 Inishi. I think it's just the perfect thing you can do. Especially if they give us the Exceed monster. I still think it's the perfect play for them. I think they would actually be a relevant meta deck with enough consistency to actually like be good in the game. You know, it's actually crazy that people are still scared of Inishi, especially when we have things like Harpies in the meta, and Harpies are just like free bouncing every turn. I think Inishi is fine. The only scary part is if Six Samurai was also able to play the limit cards, Econ, TTH, World Legacy Clash, and that's more about those cards than Six Samurai specifically, in my opinion. So I think it's fine. Move Inishi to 1, see how they perform. If they're still underperforming, then just fully unlimit them and see where to go from there. Crimson Fox. Unfortunately, Crimson Fox kind of has to stay at 2 because of Neo's Fusion, not because of Lunalights. We can talk about Lunalights. I think it is kind of shady that Lunalights got so many limits just because Kinky was coming out. Getting Tinky with the Kinky, getting the Emerald Bird and the Martine down there as well. So it's actually kind of unfortunate to see so many limits for the deck to force you guys to play new cards. I understand, though, with Tinky, Lunalights were, you know, gearing up to be really strong, especially with Arc 5. There's going to be more support coming out for sure. There's a main character that uses Lunalights. So I get it. I understand. But I want to say I want to unlimit something in Lunalights, but I don't think there is anything we can unlimit right now. I think just wait for more support to come out at this point, because it's just a tricky situation that they're in. It's just shitty all around. Machine Angel Ritual, this is still on here, so Cyber Angels don't get their limit 2s, and more importantly, Witchcrafters don't get to free play Machine Angel Ritual, so I think that's fine. You can keep it at limit 2. Magician of Dark Illusion, I still think some people did not agree with me last time, but I still personally believe that they can remove all of the Dark Magician limits, put Magician's Rod to 2, and the deck would be fine-ish. It would be another Helmet deck in terms of like a Gaia deck. But I think having some Helmet decks in the meta is fine to like establish the baseline of the meta. It won't be the best deck, and as long as it's not the best deck, a Helmet deck's not the best deck, I don't think there's any issue with that at all. I think it's kind of unfortunate that people can't play their favorite anime deck, Dark Magician. There's a lot of Dark Magician fans out there, so, you know, I would like to see them come back in some capacity. Misjudge, if we're being honest, is kind of irrelevant. Without the skill, she's not as broken as she used to be, so this can come off the limit list, doesn't really matter. Neo's Fusion, I would love to see this card come off the limit list, but it's one of those things where it was just in every deck. So for, you know, sake of deck diversity, it had to go onto the limit list. This card just made so many interesting strategies out of rogue decks, even if, you know, a lot of their strategies ended up summon Neos and beatdown. It was still there. And, you know, it helps play around things like TTH and stuff like that as well. So I would love for Neo's Fusion to come off, but it should probably stay limit 2. Pulse Mines. Pulse Mines interesting because whenever a machine deck is good, this card sees so much play, and it's a very powerful effect. So I think it should actually stay at limit 2. It's just too strong. Ritual Beast Tamer Elder, I talk about this on stream all the time. Ritual Beasts have devolved into this weird trap deck that's doesn't even look how it looked when it first was like, you know, a deck I was interested in you know, watching play. So yeah, they can unlimit Elder. It doesn't really matter at this point. Anything to get them to stop playing traps, bro. Like, I'd rather have Ritual Beast playing with TTH instead of dealing with any more trap Ritual Beasts at this point. Scrap Recycler, this goes with the Crystron nerfs. We talked about that already. Secret Pass to the Treasures, this is because of the Silent Swordsman OTK, so it's fine. It can stay here. It doesn't really matter. It's just used for farm decks. Six Samurai, we talked about that a little bit. Shiranui. Now, this might be a hot take, but it actually is kind of unfortunate that Shiranui got completely annihilated. They got destroyed on the ban list. They're still being played, quote unquote, but it's more zombie control than it's like actual Shiranui. It's just more like zombie cards with a bunch of traps in there. And it's unfortunate that Shiranui, combo Shiranui, died alongside of it. Shiranui basically needs to stay on here just because it's too cheap and too good. But I would like to see a world where you know, if the traps get limited, you know, Floodgates and Canadias and Fiendish and all that, if those cards get limited, Shiranui sees some unlimits so combo Shiranui can survive. You know, definitely things like Spirit Master, Solitaire, you know, I'd like to see those unlimited, but as we stand right now, you know, control Shiranui with the trap cards would just abuse it, and it would just not be fun for anybody. So for now, they stay on here. In the future, if they ever ban, you know, more staple cards, we could see it, that happen. Silent Sword Slash, I think if you keep all of the other Silent Swordsman OTK cards on here, the attack direct and all that stuff, and I think there was Assault Armor. I think they actually took Assault Armor off recently. I don't see it on here anymore. I think it'd be totally fine to bring this card out. Silent Swordsman, I know some people played it with Goki recently, but for the most part, it's been irrelevant. So it'd be nice to see him kind of get some play again. He's got some interesting effects. So it'd be funny just to see this. I mean, 1500 boost is kind of insane. So it's always fun to see that. Spellbooks are irrelevant. Spellbook of Fate could come off. All the Spellbook cards can come off, and they would do absolutely nothing. It's only if they ever give us future support for Spellbooks where these cards would be issues. And at the rate we're going, I don't think Spellbooks are getting any more support. I think they were like, whoops, didn't mean to do that. So there you go. Star Seraph, Sovereignty, oh baby. So Star Seraphs, they got banned because of Dark Lords, which is kind of unfortunate. And I think they're going to remain banned until Ouroboros comes out, and then they'll officially release them back into the card pool. Which means as of right now, this could come off. This could totally be off the ban list, no problem. Dark Lords, we talked about that. TTH, I talked about it in the other video. I personally believe TTH should be forbidden from the game, should not be playable by anybody. It's caused so many of these Limit 2s exist because of TTH. Either TTH or True Nade. It was one or the other. You know what I mean? So I don't think anyone should have access to this card. Whenever it's in the meta, it's unhealthy for the meta. When it's out of the meta, no one even thinks about it, but it's such a dumb card, and I feel like I've been saying this ever since it came out years and years ago. This card is just not healthy for the metagame. It needs to be gone. But as of right now, if I had to choose to unlimit it, no, it stays where it is. Vion, I personally believe Heroes could, you know, they lost True Nade. You know, TTH Heroes isn't worse than any other TTH deck out there. So I think Heroes could be fully unlimited. I think it'd be super cool to see Heroes come back, kind of a full power. Witchcrafters. Witchcrafter is a deck where if it was fully unlimited would absolutely be a tiered strategy. And while there is a bunch of counters to it, it is kind of a stall strategy. So I am happy to see some cards stay on the limit list, but maybe not Holiday. Maybe something else, man. Especially because it's Charge the Light Brigade that made them really good, plus the skill, right? So it's one of those things where I'd like to see how Witchcrafters perform without just those cards. But I think they need some limit on here as well, so they don't, you know, go too crazy on you. Because if they were fully unlimited, they would absolutely be a tiered strategy. They're very, very strong. So maybe switch this with something else, not the Holiday specifically. World Legacy Clash, this is another hot take. I know it's a hot take. I love World Legacy Clash. I think it promotes some interesting strategies to come out. You know, like for example, things like Rhino Bus would not be as powerful if World Legacy Clash existed. Non-targeting removal, well, if I'm just not on the board anymore, it doesn't matter anymore. You know what I mean? So I always liked it for those types of strategies. And in terms of a limit 2, I think cards like TTH and Econ are still stronger. So as long as those cards are around, most people will not pick up World Legacy Clash. Maybe if it was just a bit between Econ and World Legacy, but definitely between TTH, it's just not, people don't do it. You know what I mean? So I'd like to see World Legacy Clash come back. Maybe a limit 3. I would say unlimited, but yeah, I could see a limit 3 and prevent, you know, any decks that really abuse it, they can also be hit on the limit 3. So they, you know, because if you just hit 2 cards in limit 3, then they just don't play the generic card. So I think that's fine. Alistair the Invoker, we talked a little bit about Alistair, but yeah, Alistair is just too fast for current Duel Links. Being able to like bring out a Purgatrio, and if something happens with it, you banish the Purgatrio from your graveyard, summon another one, or summon Casitas, or summon whatever. It's just too much for the game. This deck is, you know, I don't know if it still is, but you know, when it first came out, it was being played in TCG, so it's kind of insane that a strategy that works in TCG also works in Duel Links. I don't think that's how it should work. It's fine where it is right now. Amazon is Onslaught. We talked about Amazons. Should come off the ban list. Battle in Boxer Veil. I personally think this card should not exist just because of how it interacts with skills in Duel Links. But outside of that, I would go for a harsher restriction. Make this like a limit 2 or something, not a limit 3. Cosmic Cyclone. This might also be... No, I don't think it's a hot take. I think Cosmic Cyclone could just come off the ban list at this point. The whole reason it was even on here to begin with is it was triggering skills. But now every skill to trigger costs more than or you know, all the relevant ones anyway, cost more than 1,000 life points to actually trigger. So Cosmic Cyclone isn't really triggering any skills anymore, and especially with cards like Trunade gone and Storm gone, it would be nice to have just another card for back removal. And then like things like MST. MST is literally Cosmic but doesn't banish. You know, they're just going to trade places in the metagame, and I don't think it's fair for one to be banned over the other. I think it's time for Cosmic to come off. The only reason it's still on here is to promote MST sale. That's just scummy. We don't need that. Fusion Reserve, same thing with Alistair. Invocation, same thing with Alistair. We talked about Lunalight. We talked about Dark Magician. So Element Saber, Palace the Elemental Lord, last one to talk about. This being at 3 goes with the Alistair nerf. So as long as this is kept away from Alistair, everything is fair because Element Sabers is just too powerful of a strategy. So it has to remain on limit 3 because Alistair is also limit 3. So that's why it's pretty much here for the most part. And that is pretty much it. That's all the cards that can come off or should come off. All the ones that should stay. I believe I got everything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down at the bottom. If you think a card should stay on or not, or should be released, or whatever your thoughts are, go ahead, put them down in the bottom. And don't forget to check out the description to put your YouTube and Twitch Makes Ban List video that should hopefully come out tomorrow. If not, will come out the following day. But you could still participate and we get some viewer interaction with that. That's going to be it. I hope to see you guys later. Peace out.